Welcome to the Introverted Influencer Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Van Slyke. My soul's mission on this planet is to help fellow introverts grow their online influence in a state of feminine flow and ease. While battling the woes of depression, anxiety, and even mom guilt, I've somehow managed to build a six-figure blog without the use of social media and without sacrificing my mental health. If I can do it, you can too. Hello, my love. Welcome back to episode 52 of the Introverted Influencer Podcast. So for all of you bloggers, whether that be aspiring, new, or OG, I have got a treat for you today. Today's special guest, Heather Painchaud from the lifestyle and food blog, Homemade Heather. Oh my gosh. I just got done interviewing her and she gives so much freaking helpful, practical, tactical advice. In my opinion, she really should be charging for all this knowledge, but she refuses to. So I virtually met Heather through her private blogging mastermind that she offers through Facebook. And she has shared her metrics, and I'm talking her blog metrics and business metrics. Super impressive. She's one of those that makes me feel small fry, but she has been a mentor and an expander and proof of what is possible with blogging for me. Even though in this episode she refuses to brag on herself at all or give like numbers of the crazy amount of income she's bringing in. But nonetheless, if you are curious about blogging, wanting to become a blogger, or maybe you've hit a plateau in your blogging career, get a pen and paper and take down notes, because this is a lot of strategy. I know that is what I've had a few requests for that. And so this is the woman you want to get strategy from. And if you are not a blogger, you're not really interested in learning how to make digital passive income through ad revenue or affiliate income, then you might just want to skip over this, because this is pretty tactical. So I will meet you. For all those not interested, I will meet you again next week. But for those of you who are interested, you're going to get so much helpful information here. And without further ado, here is some incredible wisdom from professional content creator and blogger, Heather Painchaud. Enjoy. Hello, Heather. I am so excited to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Erica.
How are you?
Good. Here in British Columbia, it's a little bit chilly.
Oh, it's like full-blown spring here in Tennessee. And I'm just going to warn everybody, I may break out in sneezing fits. The allergies hit me hard last night and I didn't get much sleep. So bear with me if that happens. Okay, Heather. So since you're on the Introverted Influencer Podcast, I got to ask you, do you consider yourself an introvert?
I would not.
Okay.
Typically, I think I'm an extrovert, but like as I've aged, I'm learning that my communication style is verbal, and that doesn't necessarily mean I'm an extrovert. It just means that I communicate best verbally, right? So I'm finding I certainly have introverted qualities.
That's really interesting given you're a blogger. So, because I'm always like, I'm more of a writer, so I feel more comfortable with the blogging versus the podcast has been way out of my comfort zone. But I can tell by interacting, you are a great speaker. So
Thank you.
So I want to hear about your journey that led you to becoming a full-time professional content creator and blogger.
Sure. I've been blogging for 15 years now. I originally started, I think it was in 2008, and it was just a hobby, a side hustle, something to keep me creative and active as my kids were growing. So I have twins, and they were just a year old when I started the blog. And it used to be called Twin Dragonfly Designs, actually. I've since rebranded. It's now Homemade Heather. And it was just, again, that creative side hustle that I could do when the kids were napping. And that all kind of came to a head in 2015. I was navigating my way through divorce. The boys were struggling in elementary school, and one of my kids was diagnosed with autism. So at the time, I was working full time, navigating, that situation at home, and I had to suddenly quit my job to support my son. So what happened at the very same moment as all of these kind of life-changing events is that my blog that had been my side hustle was starting to generate a full-time income. And the reason for that is I switched one, of course, I had the page views to monetize and create income through advertising, but I also switched advertising companies to AdThrive.
Okay.
So that's when my income quadrupled overnight.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were you with
amazing.
AdSense before?
I was with, I believe it was called BlogHer. It was one of the older.
Oh, okay.
And then I just switched to one that was better at optimizing those ads, right? Currently, I'm with Mediavine, and I'm absolutely loving Mediavine.
Me
but at
too.
The time, yes, they're so amazing. At the time, it was AdThrive, and it just was so impactful at that time in my life when I had to suddenly homeschool my son and I was no longer able to work full time. So I'm incredibly grateful for this blogging journey, and I'm always sharing it because it's just amazing.
That is beautiful. So how many page views did you have to have at the time to get on with AdThrive?
I believe at the time it was over 100,000 back in the day. I had about 150,000 page views a month at that time when I was earning essentially a full-time income through ads, as well as a few other things like sponsored content and affiliate links and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. So how long did it take you to start generating a full-time income? You said what was it, 5 years? Or
Yeah. So again, this wasn't, in my mind when I was blogging, it wasn't a business. It was just something for fun. It was a side hustle, and earning an income on the side was an added bonus. So from 2009 to, it would have been 6 years.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. It was a long time because those were the early days when, again, for me, it wasn't even a thought in my mind that I could be earning a full-time income. Looking back, there's certainly ways that you can do it quicker and you can earn a full-time income much faster than I had. Mm-hmm.
But the stars were really just aligned for you. So it wasn't this moment of I know personally for me, I was working as a contract labor for a surgeon, doing all the marketing and the SEO for the surgeon. And there came a time when he wanted me to take on more. He wanted to promote me more because I was on maternity leave. So we had kind of taken away some of my responsibilities. And because like you, I was raising a baby and then I had another on the way. And he's like, I want you to be more fully engaged with this. And I wasn't quite making enough money. I was 2.5 years in. I wasn't quite making enough, but I was like, I can see this going further. So I had to take that leap of faith where it was scary. And I'm thinking, what am I doing? But I knew I needed to devote that time to putting more work into the blog. And in, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, it paid off. And I was making double what I was making from him. But that's beautiful how it all fell together for you. That is so inspiring. And I'm sure
amazing.
Others would love to hear from you if you have any tips for transitioning from a side hustle to making it full time when you already have children to take care of and income to produce from your main job. Do you have tips?
How to take your side hustle to full-time income. I think there's there's so many ways and things that help, right? If you can, so if your side hustle is generating enough income, it's always helpful to get help. So hiring a VA, hiring a writer, because for me, building the growth on the blog, part of that has been publishing more content. So the more content I can publish, the more page views I'm going to get. So hiring out that work, but also one of the key things to the way I create content is batching. So I batch everything. And when I tell people I batch everything, it's right down to kids. I have twins. I batch everything. So I never do anything one-off on my website. For example, last week I was creating potato recipes. I did not just make one potato recipe. I think I made 10. So
wow.
Yeah, it's really important to find those processes that can streamline your time, especially when you're a busy mom or the kids are young. You've only got that window of an hour while they're napping or whatever.
Yeah. So what does that look like for you? Like a typical day or week, just give people an idea, especially moms who are like, well, I don't know how I'm going to find time to do all that. Cause I want you to show them it's possible.
How old are your kids now?
6, soon to be 7, and 9. So they're 2 years apart, and I'm a boy mom as well.
Oh, so. I love boy moms. Okay. So I think this answer changes as your kids age. When my kids were young and before they entered elementary school, I was basically not sleeping a lot, right? I was working once they went to bed. I'd put a show on and I'd write for a few hours in the evenings. And then when they went to school, that was like freedom 5. I just felt like I had so much more time to create content during the day. I could shoot things in the natural light. And set up blocks of time to do writing and social media and video and all that kind of thing. And now my kids are teenagers. They're going to be driving.
Wow.
So blows my mind. But now I have all the time in the world.
That's awesome.
But I really do. I have a bit more flexibility around being able to schedule and chunk out those blocks of time for creating content and building page views and generating some momentum with the blog.
Yeah. And I want to add, for me, what was a life changer was before my boys were old enough for school, I invested in just Mother's Day out twice a week. It was just a few hours because I couldn't at the time afford like full blown daycare or even preschool, but we did Mother's Day out. And it was like, I knew I had to get out a post during those hours. That's what I had. So, and now, like you said, it gets easier when they're in full-time school. It gets so much easier. But.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I did when they were younger is I created content around them too. So we would cook together. And I had a whole series of like cooking with the kids on the website. My brand started as a lifestyle brand and a lifestyle website. So I was able to go and do things with the kids and talk about it on the blog, right? So I think that was really helpful in creating content, is including the kids in that. Now they just eat the food. Yeah. They're like more than happy to test out the recipes and enjoy the cooking. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I want you to break it down for people who are curious. How do you make money from a blog? Because it's amazing to me how many people don't freaking understand that. Like I have given up telling most people I'm a blogger. I just say I'm a digital publisher. What do you say? Do you say I'm a blogger? So it depends on the person.
Yeah, I think what I've noticed a trend in the last 5 years is that more people are understanding the term blogger, because influencers are so prevalent. I think
Mm-hmm.
that has really brought to mind, oh, what are these individuals doing on the internet, right? So
Yeah.
I do say I'm a blogger or a content creator. Those are my two go-tos. Most people are very understanding. Because I'm open about it and I talk about it often with my network of friends who aren't bloggers. Sometimes I worry that they're getting sick of me talking about it. But so that's what I would definitely call myself, content creator, blogger. And in terms of revenue, people are like blown away that this is a full-time income. And frankly, so am I. You know, when I get my monthly income statement from Mediavine, especially when you see that growth and the momentum, it's just mind blowing. It's so great to see all of this hard work and strategy that you put into, for me, a third baby. It's so rewarding to see that growth and all that hard work pay off. So when people ask me, how on earth are you making money with this? I explain ad revenue to them. So primarily my income is through Mediavine and my ad revenue. And the way I explain it is I'm like, okay, all those ads you have to scroll through to get to the recipe. I get paid in pennies when you view them, and when you click on them, I get paid in dollars. And the first thing I try to explain to friends too is the reasoning behind the scroll to a recipe. You are supporting the writer, you are supporting the blogger by viewing that entire page, and we get paid more for the amount of views that those ads get. So we really want to publish great content that is informational, that the reader finds engaging, but we're also creating and publishing as much content as we can with beautiful images so that we can put more ads into that blog post. So that's primarily ad revenue income. And then there's a number of other sources that we like to supplement with. That's sponsored content, of course. I lean away from sponsored content because, as you know, I shared.
Me too. I don't do
right?
sponsored.
Okay. No, none at all.
I've only done like 3, and it was one major deal that I used. It was like flooring. And I'm like, of course, I got behind that.
Yeah.
That was it.
Can you send me them? No,
I
can. And part of my story that I had shared around sponsored content is the reason I'm passionate about Mediavine, about ad revenue, is that when I was forced to quit my job and homeschool my son, I was working with, half a dozen sponsors at the time. And I no longer had the capacity to fulfill those contracts and meet those deadlines. I was kind of in just survival mode, right? So that forced me to rely on my ad revenue. And that ad revenue is what carried me through those years that were more difficult. And I'm so incredibly grateful for that, right? I think I just got goosebumps.
I did too.
So,
because it's true. It's passive. You make it once and it's monetized forever. It's like royalties. Yeah. It's beautiful.
And that sponsored content, I love working with sponsors who I genuinely adore. But often influencers are working with sponsors who have giant 10-page contracts, deadlines, and they have pages and pages and pages of criteria to meet for each of those blog posts. And it can be difficult and it can be challenging to run with that kind of mindset, right? So I work with a few sponsors, still ones that I love. That's one of the sources of income. Affiliate sales have really picked up for me as I've transitioned into trying to do better with affiliate income. I never think that I'm a salesy kind of person, quote unquote salesy. So affiliate income through Amazon or other platforms is a great way to supplement your monthly income as well.
And for those that don't understand, most everyone understands sponsorships and ad revenue, eyeballs on the ad. But can you explain a little more about affiliate marketing and earning commissions on that?
Yeah, that's an area where I'm learning more. And I feel like influencers do this really, 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 really well, where you'll have a link from Amazon that is directly from your business portion of Amazon. And then if somebody purchases from that link, you get paid a percentage. The percentages change and the cookie length changes. And what that means is if the individual clicks on your link, you may only have 50 minutes for them to purchase a product before that link is inactive. Or you might have 30 days for them to purchase a product while that link's active. So affiliate income is something I'm definitely learning about. Prior to 2019, I did not have any affiliate links in my blog posts. So I went through with the Mediavine challenge, I was updating and adding affiliate links to all of my top performing blog posts. So that's been really helpful. There's a couple more ways that I'm not sure are as common that I would recommend trying to kind of branch out and earn more income in this field. The first would be content creation. So you said you were working for Surgeon, right? So creating content for others or becoming a virtual assistant and doing what you love for others is a great kind of side hustle to the whole blog. It's a great way to diversify your income. I think last year, are you good with numbers? I'm like such a numbers person.
No,
okay, well, this is like
I'm trying to get better.
I have this budget and I'm always setting goals on, okay, is this giving me a great return on my investment?
Right.
And so one of the things I was doing in 2022 is creating content for others. So whether that be recipe development or creative craft posts or videos for other bloggers and influencers. And just doing that as a side, I earned $10,000. So to me, that's a great little side benefit, and you could do more or less. And it's what was great too about content creation is there weren't big contracts, there weren't deadlines typically, because I was creating the content and then selling it. Does that make sense? So I wasn't,
where do you sell that content?
There are Facebook groups. VA Facebook groups. I can hook you up on Facebook. Where you can sell and purchase content. And so being able to create your own content and then sell it in a marketplace. A number of virtual assistants also have their own websites where they sell content. And often that looks like photography, food photography, or product photography, recipes that have been developed, that kind of thing. So that's another kind of side hustle that you can earn a little.
And I guess crafts too, and I'm a DIY home decor. So you could even purchase like DIY projects, tutorials.
Yeah. Okay. Crafts, especially DIY, is a little bit more difficult because
it's very difficult.
It's personal, right? It's time consuming.
It's expensive.
You have your own taste. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The last area that I probably would diversify or use is, what are they called? So ebooks, courses, workshops, things that are digital that you can sell. So you create it once and then you sell it infinitely. And they're a great resource, a great way to earn that passive income outside of ad revenue. So I have a number of ebooks that I basically take. Do you have any ebooks, Erica?
I've got free ebooks as like an incentive to sign up for my email list. But that was a goal. That is definitely a goal, is to create and monetize an actual course or ebook for sure. Yeah.
And it's way easier to do than you would think because Canva has so many great templates for ebooks.
Yeah, I love Canva.
Exactly. It's like my number one resource for blogging for sure. But just taking, 10 similar blog posts and putting them into an ebook, our readers want that. They want convenience, simplicity, something given to them that's easily accessible. So you're really serving your reader. And it's amazing. Like, so I have another story.
Share.
At that same time when I had quit my full-time job and the blog was starting to earn a full-time income, I had published an ebook on crochet. So it was Learn to Crochet. I had published this ebook in 2014. So it was a year before this. And suddenly it went viral. It took off. And I sold thousands of dollars in this little ebook. It was $5 to purchase. And you could learn how to crochet. And I sold thousands of dollars, which allowed me to buy the boys Christmas presents that year.
That's freaking awesome.
It was so
how did
great.
it go viral?
I think it was a Pinterest pin at the time. Mm-hmm.
That is so cool. Yeah. Okay. So I want to get to Pinterest here in a minute, but for those newbie bloggers or influencers that just think sponsorships, I don't know why it seems like many people, that's where they think it's at. Mm-hmm. I want you to kind of get a little more into how you can get yourself in trouble doing it, kind of having a business based on that, and what you're talking about, like legalities, or even I've heard stories about sometimes it's more costly in terms of what you ultimately have to pay in taxes or what you have to dedicate yourself to versus you know, the benefit of doing those sponsorships.
Oh, yeah. That's funny because I'm like you. I hear more people are interested in sponsorships. They're looking for sponsorships. And I actually think that's a really flooded market right now, especially with influencers and the growth of Instagram. It's really difficult to get those sponsorships at this point because so many young individuals and influencers are going after them, and they're doing an amazing job, right? Mm-hmm. You're having to pitch 100 different sponsors and send out 100 different emails, and you might get one back. I've not done that. So the way that I've usually found sponsors is either they will approach me and email me directly, or direct message me on Instagram, or I meet them at a conference. So if you're listening and you haven't been to a blogging conference, please go. It's like the best bang for your buck. And in terms of an investment in your business, it is so useful, so helpful, because you're able to meet sponsors. So you can meet with them directly, see their product, put a face to a name. And that's where I built a lot of my sponsored opportunities back in the day. I think the pitfalls around sponsorship is, like I had said, you've got these massive deadlines and contracts that you need to fulfill. And if you are a large, maybe like yourself, a DIY blogger, and you're wanting to go after larger sponsorships, you're going to need some legal advice. You're going to need support around those contracts and deadlines and all the expectations that come with them. I don't have a lot of experience with things that could potentially go wrong, other than in my experience, it's not a good return on my investment. So based on my social, so it depends, and a lot of sponsorship, I think, depends at this current stage on your social media numbers. Mm-hmm. So what was the metric that I shared?
I want to get into that with you too. Your thoughts on social, and do you think it's worth
social media?
Okay. Let's talk about that too.
So the metric I think for social media and sponsorship is $100 per 10,000 followers. I read that somewhere. People are always asking, how much should I charge a sponsor? How much should I charge a sponsor? Right. And I think you really need to determine how much you're going to charge a sponsor based on your time. So how much effort is that contract going to create for you? And what are you charging per hour, or however you want to charge your time? So the detriment with working with sponsors is that they're typically looking for large social media numbers. TikTok, Instagram, we all know they're exploded, right? And so if you don't have large social numbers, then it's hard to prove social authority when you are trying to gain sponsors or work with sponsors. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's social media. I have never liked it. The only reason I'm still on Facebook is basically for your group, for the Mediavine group, and a few other blogging groups. That's the only reason I'm on there. And so I knew right off the bat, I'm like, no, I'm going to have like an SEO strategy. And that's kind of the way I hit it because that was my background. And then I loved Pinterest. I don't consider Pinterest social media.
No,
But,
yeah.
So I knew that
I feel like we're very alike.
I knew that's how it had to be. But looking back, now knowing what I know, I'm so glad it was that way because we generate truly passive income this way, where I feel like if you're just going from pitching from one sponsor to the next, you're kind of chasing followers, you're chasing sponsors, and it's not a truly, I don't think, entirely sustainable business model unless, like you said, you've got just crazy social authority with crazy numbers. So
the passive income is where it's at, especially when you're a mom, because you're not beholden to anyone but yourself then. Like, does that make sense? You're not I always love to say, I'm not working for anyone but myself. So when I've got my passive income set where I can rely on that, looking back throughout the years now, that's brilliant. Rather than being dictated by someone else what I need to do when I need to do it.
Yeah, it feels like you're working for someone else when you have to answer to these big brands. And then
I have a sponsorship coming up that I'm not looking forward to. Like, I love the product, but because there's a deadline, I'm like, oh,
deadlines. And then the one contract I had to sign, I could not work with or endorse or even have affiliate links to a competitor. And that actually, it did hurt me in a way because I was making a lot of money from another flooring company through the affiliate links. Like, I could be on vacation and have like a $2,000 a day from a beautiful commission from flooring, but that ended up hurting me. And I think people just don't take that into account. And I couldn't endorse any other flooring or write about it for an entire year. So it kind of locks you into working for the man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So social media, you're asking, and Pinterest. I feel the same way about Pinterest in that, to me, it's not social media. It's a search engine. And it's more like Google in a sense that Google is certainly my number one driver of traffic. And that's the way I want it at this point, unless things change with another Google update or AI engine. I don't know what's coming up.
Gosh, you never know.
Yeah, no. So we just got to be ready to pivot at any moment. But at this point, Google traffic is gold and Pinterest traffic is like silver. It's the next best thing.
And so when you started off, was it the reverse? Was it like Pinterest was where, because I know Google is a long game and I understood that when I started my blog, it would take a good year or so to notice traffic gains from all of my SEO work. So I just enjoyed Pinterest and it only took a few months to start seeing traffic from my pins. Was that how you kind of started out too?
Well, I was like an OG Pinterest back when you had to get an email directly from Pinterest inviting you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I started gaining traffic and pinning things on Pinterest was back in the day. However, one of the things I regret is that I didn't jump on board. I was like, well, this is cool. I'll use it a little bit and then I'll move on. So I didn't jump on board right away and use Pinterest as a business tool. And I think people that did that in the early days saw tremendous growth on Pinterest and have huge numbers on Pinterest now because they were like, okay, this is great. I'm going to use this tool. And being somebody who's OG, then an original, then they've gained that much more traffic and following. I still find Pinterest to be great. I know that some people have really poo-pooed Pinterest in the last several years. I don't know what else.
Yeah, Pinterest hurt me pretty bad. It was last March.
Is that why your traffic went down?
Yes. Yes. So I'm trying to supplement that traffic because I was almost like 50-50 Google and Pinterest. And then luckily I'd had it was more like 60% Google. But Pinterest, they changed their algorithm and I lost 37% of my traffic.
Is that what it was? Just an algorithm shift?
Yes. And then, yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing to say other than you're crying.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to hustle and figure it out. And I have yet to rebound from that. And, trying to play the game with the idea pins, didn't really notice much from that either. But my thing was like, screw that. There is no link back to my site. So there is really no way for me to monetize this idea pin. And that's when I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. So do you not do idea pins at all?
Not anymore. Okay. I tried. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah. So now everything gets pinned to Pinterest using Tailwind. So I've got the scheduler. And then I organically pin, I mean, they recommend at least 15 minutes a day to just randomly hit Pinterest up and pin things.
So you're still pinning other people's stuff.
Content. Yeah.
Because
but not, they say you're supposed to do it every day.
Okay. Well, I never gave that up because I'm obsessed with Pinterest.
Yeah.
But I reached out to Pinterest myself. This is back this fall. And I'm like, have I been shadow banned for some reason?
Yeah.
I have been on this platform, active, engaged on a daily basis. I've never taken a day off of Pinterest ever. And I do the combo of auto schedule through Tailwind and pinning other people's manually and my own. And the guy was like, let me check. And he got back to me. He's like, no, you haven't been shadow banned for anything. He goes, but I will tell you that we actually don't prefer you pinning other people's content as much. He said that.
Wow.
And so I kind of cut back a little on pinning as much manually, but it makes me sad because I enjoy it. So, but I never even noticed a difference once I kind of tried to play by his suggestions. I don't know.
Rule book. Yeah. It's hard to say what works. I think on any of these things, the only thing I've seen that works is consistency. So you kind of figure out, that's something that this platform enjoyed. So I'm going to consistently do more of it. Right. On Pinterest, I'm finding reels are doing really well. So I will create a new pin with a reel from Instagram and give it a link back. So those seem to be generating some traffic. It's not, Pinterest was never a huge driver of traffic. It was more so than Google back in the day, but luckily I haven't seen that drastic drop from Pinterest yet.
Okay. Well, that leads me to the question.
Though.
Video pins.
Video pins are helpful. Yeah. And I've also created video, like not just reels, but also a video pin. So it's a combination of video and a still. And those seem to do well Okay. It's always trial and error, right?
I'm going to have to ask you about Tailwind technical difficulties because every time I've tried to schedule video pins, it breaks. So I don't know.
Oh, okay.
You don't have any issues with that?
Well, I've been manually uploading all the videos.
Okay.
So I haven't tried it with Tailwind. I can though, and report back.
Okay. And for anyone who doesn't know, Tailwind is just a scheduling app. So it schedules the pins out where you don't have to sit there and do it yourself. Okay.
It used to be called Board Booster. That's how old I am.
I remember Board Booster. Yeah.
Do you? Okay.
That's when I was just beginning. So
yeah. And they disappeared and all of a sudden they no longer existed.
No.
And I think it was 6 months and I didn't have anything going on Pinterest before I discovered. I'm like, oh, I should probably get on that.
Yeah. No, I miss Board Booster in all honesty.
Yeah, it was good.
It was simpler.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to ask you, what's the biggest, have you had a big major setback in your blogging journey. And what was that? And what did you learn from it? How did you work your way through, like in terms of self-development from that aspect and mindset?
Right. Yeah. I think I can look at 2019 as a setback year. So I was creating a lot of content prior to homeschooling my son. I had a lot of content, a lot of sponsorship. There was a lot of momentum building on my website in 2015. And then in 2016 and 2017, I was only posting maybe once a week. And I was taking a step back so that I could homeschool my son through his autism diagnosis. I could focus on him and we could kind of get back on our feet. So for those 2 years, I didn't do a lot of I was a ghost on social media, and I was only publishing new content maybe once a week. So what that did is the momentum that I had on the blog in 2015 of go, 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 slowly trickled away. I couldn't really rest on my laurels anymore. So in 2018, I was like, okay, I got to get back at this. I love this. Let's publish some more content. But I really was not on top of SEO. Mm-hmm. So I noticed that my website was stagnating. I wasn't getting a lot of great page views. My income was dropping, which was the huge thing. I'm like, whoa. Okay, what's going on here? Let's build this back up. So in 2019, I was like, this needs to be the year where I treat this as a true business. This is providing a full-time income for my family. I need to treat it as such. So I started 2019 by going to Snap conference, and I had several goals. I wanted to look at things I could control. So again, sponsorship opportunities I couldn't control, social media numbers and the algorithm I couldn't control. But what I can control is the way I write for good search engine optimization and my newsletters, my email list. So those were my two focuses at Snap in 2019. And what I took away from Snap was amazing. One, I actually met with the team at Mediavine. Both AdThrive and Mediavine were at Snap conference, and I had an opportunity to speak to them both directly. And I just felt compelled to move to Mediavine, which was a really amazing opportunity for me to take it to the next level. I was like, okay, I love this company. They're so blogger focused. They want us to succeed because they're for everybody succeeding. And they have so many free tools and techniques. They're willing to kind of handhold a little bit to move you forward on this journey. So I really appreciated that. And the takeaways in 2019 were starting that Mediavine content challenge. So I was going back into all of my old content and making it better. So better for search engine optimization, better for ad revenue, better for affiliate sales. Prior to that, I wasn't really offering content that Google would pick up unless it was like by some lucky happenstance.
Right.
I wasn't writing content that Google would think, oh, that's the best piece of content for this query. Mm-hmm. So coming away in 2019 with the idea, okay, I need to be writing these blog posts, and I have hundreds of thousands of blog posts in a way that is more beneficial to my reader and that answers more of their questions fully, and that is optimized for search engines and full of affiliate details of the things that I love. Like all of these things needed to be in each and every blog post. So that's what really started it for me, is that kind of downhill spiral going, all right, what am I going to do? What am I going to change?
That was 2022 for me.
Yeah. And then looking at, okay, whose advice, like who's somebody really savvy or business minded, who's got those goals that I want to reach. Okay, they seem like they're in a similar headspace to me. I'm going to look at what they're doing. And for me, that was Mediavine and the Content Upgrade Challenge. That was the start of the snowball. That is just, now the blog has just taken off and it's just so fun to watch.
That's awesome. And for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, when we refer to Mediavine, that is the ad company that Heather and I are both with. And they provide so many free resources. If you don't understand SEO, if you don't understand, like you said, just how to optimize each post fully for like maximum ad revenue, they have blogs, they have videos, they have monthly guests with
it's great.
Zooms. I mean, they're awesome. They're incredible. And
even
so
the
I
Facebook
can't
group.
Yes. And that's how I initially found you. And I call you an expander because for me, it's scary because if you're following the wrong people, if you get into some of the wrong groups, it starts to be this echo chamber of like doom and gloom for this industry. And I knew from a self-development standpoint and what I'd been learning spiritually that my subconscious needs to see in real life someone else doing it. It's that phenomenon what was his name? Was it the Jesse Owens when nobody could run a 4-minute mile, but once he did, then tons of people were doing it. It's like you need to see, and you are one of those people. So the resources are out there already. You don't even have to be with Mediavine to get these resources. Just go to Mediavine.com. I'm interested. A lot of people ask me, what is the best ad revenue company to get on? And other than Google AdSense, that was the only other company that I was with. So I don't have anything to compare Mediavine with, but I'm just so impressed that I've never had a reason to.
Yeah. AdSense or AdThrive is very comparable to Mediavine. So I have friends on AdThrive. I was on AdThrive. Very comparable companies. I think the difference, don't quote me, is that Mediavine is privately owned and now AdThrive is publicly owned. And if you're looking, so I have several websites. You need to reach a certain threshold to
What
apply.
Is that now for Mediavine?
50,000 page views, or it might be sessions.
Okay, 50,000 page views a month to get on with Mediavine.
But if you have a new website and you're wanting to get started with monetizing it, Monumetric would be my recommendation. I think you only need 10,000 page views to apply for Monumetric. And that's they'll pay you more than AdSense will.
Good to know. Yeah, AdSense was like maybe $50 a month, maybe $100 a month. It was,
and then it was like babysitter money. Reach 100. Yeah.
Which is so funny because when I started the blog, that's all I wanted. I was like, I just want some extra. Well, obviously I loved blogging, but once I realized I could make money from it. I'm like, if I could just afford like a date night out with my husband and pay a babysitter, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's so funny to see your growth and then look back and, oh my gosh, like this is what's really possible with blogging.
And it's so helpful to find those people. Like you said, you saw me first in the Mediavine group. It's so helpful to find and track those, the people who are sharing positive progress, because it's hard to know what to do next. I think we get analysis paralysis. Like, whoa, what's working for, like, I don't even know where to start. There are so many things involved in this process called blogging. It's difficult to know where to start, what direction to focus on, where to go. So for me, Mediavine was that person, that agency that was like, start here, do this Mediavine challenge. And I was like, okay, I'll go there. And it just spiraled from there. But finding someone, I think that's a great tip actually, is finding somebody who's in your sphere that influences you in a positive way to grow and be better and reach those goals. So, and we should all have those people. And let them know that they're those people. I think, I've invited bloggers who are just a little bit further down the road than me to the mastermind group to say, like, you've inspired this, or you hooked me up with Rank IQ. Thank you. Like, that's another tool that I absolutely love. So yeah, it's super important to have those people.
And even if you don't want to replicate their entire strategy, like I've only posted one blog post a week. That's all I've ever done. One blog post a week.
Yeah.
And so when I hear all the content you push out, I'm like, oh, I do. Wow, that's a little overwhelming, but I'm going to do it my way.
100%. And look at your
learned
niche
from you.
Your niche is
trying to do like home improvement.
Yeah, to try to do, and your blog post would be typically so full of information, right? Because there's a lot involved in any kind of home decor or renovation project. Gosh, we're building a carriage house in the backyard. That's going to take, well, it's already at a year and a half. Like,
wow.
Right? So a blog post on that, hopefully I could do updates once a month if I was a DIY blogger, but there's just so much more involved. Whereas when you are a strictly craft or recipe blogger, it's easier to batch out that content for sure.
Another question I had. So I started off niche and then I kind of got bored after about 5 years. And I'm like, I've got recipes and I have lifestyle and spirituality. And when the blog was doing extremely well with Pinterest and I wasn't as concerned with Google. I mean, I had Pinterest to fall back on. Yeah. Then I wasn't afraid to mix in content, but now you have these people that are so against what they call kind of watering down your niche. And then that could hurt your SEO, but you've kind of proven that theory wrong. I just want to know like your thoughts on that.
For sure. On niching down. I don't believe that you should have to niche down. Be like a little bit. So here's the thing. My website, my primary website is recipes, crafts, and printables. So those are the 3 offerings I have for my readers. And I've narrowed that down from DIY, camping, like reviews on camping. What else was I posting? Oh, I had all sorts of things that I was posting. It was lifestyle. It was all the things. Geocaching with the kids in nature. I can't even remember. Like travel, all the things. So when I did a site audit with my developer, I did niche down because I wanted to take those posts that weren't getting any traffic and weren't really valuable to my readers and either de-index them or put them into draft. But niching down for me is to like, now I only have 3 topics instead of like half a dozen, right?
Right.
The problem, like you said, when you niche down too much is you get bored. And I think a lot of bloggers and content creators, we are creative individuals and we like to be able to create in different ways. So it's really important to not find such a narrow niche that you're bored with it. So couple of examples of niches. I actually pulled recipes from my current website, the ones that always did the best, which were camping recipes. Do you guys camp, boy mom?
We need to. and I've been promising. So we hike a lot. We hike and we live out on land, but that's the next, I've got to do it. It's just, I can't do tent camping in the cold. I want an RV, but that's the goal.
yeah. An RV is brilliant. We do all the kinds of camping. So those camping recipes in the early days and now were always very popular on the website. So I pulled from those and I created a niche website. So I've created a smaller website that is just about camping recipes so that I could focus all of those recipes on that website. That website is monetized, but it's certainly not a full-time income. So I don't think that niching down just to camping recipes has all of a sudden driven traffic or created better SEO. There's a number of different factors to good search engine optimizations for a website that aren't based on niche. So link backs to your website, for example, the age of your website, the health score of your website, the speed of your website. Like there's so many different factors. For me, it's important just to have great content for my readers and keep doing what's working. So this year, one of the things that's changed in 2023 for Homemade Heather is I am not focusing on crafts anymore. So that third niche that I had, that third revenue or content streams. So I've got recipes, crafts, and printables. Crafts are now not a priority because I'm very focused. My word of the year is focus. I'm very focused on what works and what drives traffic and what creates the best income. And for me, those two things are printables and recipes. So 2023 is the year of recipes. I need to get, I have recipes from 2011 that I published, and they are, the photographs are terrible. The instructions are like, just dump it in a pot. You should know what to do, kind of thing. So I'm updating a lot of my older recipes, which is fun this year. But so yes, don't niche down so much that you get bored and you're kind of pigeonholed into one thing. But pare it down from, a dozen.
Right. So what would you recommend to bloggers just starting off? Like, what are some of your biggest tips? Because it's so overwhelming. Like you said, there's so many things I can be doing, so many squirrels I can be chasing. What would you recommend to someone getting started in 2023?
Somebody who's getting started, it would be create excellent content. So whatever your content is, create as much of it as you can and write it so that your reader is getting all of the information that you can possibly give them. So I wish I had started out creating content with a reader in mind. I was just creating content like, blah, here's a recipe.
Me too.
Rather than this person might ask, how can I add, sweet potatoes instead of Yukon Gold? This person might want to know, can I use red onion instead of yellow onion? Or does it have to be, for DIY, does it have to be a certain kind of wood, or which stain is the best one? So really writing content for a reader in mind is important, and writing as much of it as you can. That's what I would recommend, is getting a good system of batching content, even the DIY and home decor if you can, and just publishing as much of it as you can, as quickly as you can.
Okay. So then what about maybe OG bloggers that have perhaps been hit by a Pinterest update or a Instagram update, Facebook, and it's hurt your traffic and you're kind of freaking out a little because it's already it's your full-time income. So what would you...
Well, the first thing I tell my blogging veterans is to go to that Mediavine content challenge. I don't know if you can link it at some point, but it's the first place to start in understanding what a good blog post should entail, what it should look like, what qualities does it need. And then if you start in that space with a good kind of structure, you can move forward from there. The other thing I would recommend is looking at your search engine optimization. So being able to, what Google, it's such a big topic, but what Google's looking for is whenever you type something into Google, they're wanting to give that person the absolute best answer. And the best answer kind of changes with different updates. But it's typically one that is well thought out, that is includes all of the answers to questions that the reader might ask, and then is interlinked, like all these things. So knowing good search engine optimization is so important, and mine has improved by leaps and bounds with Rank IQ. So there's a tool. There's a number of different search engine tools. So use the one that you're familiar with because it can seem overwhelming. Rank IQ is a great one because it streamlines the process for you. You're not having to do all of the research on your own. It kind of does some of it for you so that you can implement it in your writing.
Yeah. So I'll be happy when I see results. Yes, it does.
Are you using Rank IQ?
I have. I got it this summer. And I did a few posts, and then I kind of the creative in me. That's what I think I've struggled with is Pinterest was a crutch for, I just want to come up with pretty content and pretty images. And that's always what was the hit on Pinterest. And Google, you're right. It's different. It's about totally thinking about the reader and intent, like search intent. So, I think I'll be a lot more motivated. You've motivated me for sure, seeing your results. So what were your results again? Your metrics for how much you grew, like since you started really getting serious about updating your posts and like how did your traffic?
2021 over 2022, I doubled my traffic in a year.
That's awesome.
And that was, so in 2019, I began with the Mediavine Content Upgrade Challenge and started upgrading all of my old content while I was still publishing new content. So my content was 50% republished or updated content and then 50% new. And then in 2020, I was publishing more content, new content with search engine optimization in mind. And so it's just, what people don't know about blogging is it's the long game, right? Year over year, we're not looking at months. It takes years to start seeing that snowball effect of content starting to get traction because there's so many things involved, backlinking and site health and speed in gaining that traction and authority on what you're writing. Does that make sense?
And the age of your domain.
The age of your content. So if it's a brand new piece of content, it has no backlinks and Google's like, well, I don't know what this is. It's going to take some time to gain that authority. So with Rank IQ or search engine optimization, it's important to give it at least 6 months, preferably a year. And I see huge results. I think one of the metrics that I've shared in the Mediavine group and the Rank IQ group is how many keywords I'm ranking for. So that's really important because that's bringing the traffic from Google to the website. And I think I've grown, I can't remember the number, but let's say it's 10,000 keywords in a year. So that's huge compared to having only, I don't know what it was before, 1,000, let's say.
Yeah. That's really inspiring. That's what really got me on this whole Rank IQ bandwagon and updating old things. So I'm looking forward to seeing results from that. I know I can feel it. I can feel it coming. But, and that's another, you could say, well, woe is me. I loved Pinterest and so much of that traffic has been taken away from me. But then when you look at how it's broken down in terms of ad revenue, perhaps this is going to be a benefit because Google traffic pays more than Pinterest and most social media traffic, I would assume.
Yeah, it does. What's your social, like one of the ways that we can pivot with Google and AI, the potential AI is building more of a network and more of a community on social media. So social media is always something that's involved in our jobs as bloggers. And I have a love-hate relationship with social media. We were going to chat about this, right?
Yes.
So people are like, oh, you're on all the things. You're on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. I'm like, yeah, because it's my job, right? I need to be in these spaces to develop a community with my brand and with my business, right? Yeah.
Now you're making me feel really unprofessional. But no, I think
why?
I can show up in Instagram stories, but that's just about the extent of it. I'm still pinning. Okay. I don't really consider that social media. But that's something that I think when people come to me asking me for my strategy or even coming to this podcast, they're just so intrigued by the fact that I've become a full-time blogger by not using social media.
Yeah. Well, I haven't looked, like, do you feel like you have large social media numbers?
No, I only have, I've got maybe a little over 4,500 Instagram followers and a little under 3,000 Facebook followers, which I never post to Facebook anymore.
No.
I still do have like in terms of vanity metrics on Pinterest, I still do have like a large reach, but not really seeing that translate into page views.
Yeah, darn it. But what's great about us and having a small social media following is that it just proves that you don't need that to earn a full-time income. And ultimately, I think what my worry is that a lot of the young influencers don't understand that they don't own their content on those platforms. So my platform of choice is Instagram. It's where I've got a really great and active community. I absolutely love it. But I have very, very small numbers. So when we talk about sponsors again, it doesn't show that clout or that, what's the word? It's like having a resume, right? They immediately go to how many TikTok followers do you have? And if you don't have X amount, then you're not seen as an authority in an area. So for me, that's the love-hate with social media is I enjoy building community. I love to be able to share what's going on Instagram and in the Facebook groups, but I don't see the return on my investment. And that's the frustration. I'm like, okay, I'm investing a lot of time in this community on this social platform, but it's not returning any kind of monetization, right? And it can disappear overnight. So young influencers, your content can be gone and not belong to you overnight. Whereas a blogger on a website, we own this. This is ours. There's no taking it away. Similarly with those.
A self-hosted website.
Yeah. A self-hosted website. We own that.
You have to pay for the hosting and you've paid for your domain. That is when you own it.
Yes. What are people on other things?
Well, the free version of WordPress. So a long time ago, I actually had a fitness blog for maybe a year, and it was like it wasn't self-hosted. It was was it WordPress.org?
.com. Yeah, it was a blogspot back in the day. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. So how are you diversifying any potential changes, whether that be Chat GPT, the AI scare, or any other crazy algorithm updates? How are you diversifying your traffic?
Well, I'm not giving up on social as much as I want to. So as much as I want to be like, I just give up. There's no point in trying to build more clout. But we want to make sure that if you just want to be able to have kind of I don't know what the word is, but you want to have a lot of things diversified, like you said, so that if something does shift, you're ready to pivot. So what am I doing? I'm not giving up on social. I'm doing what worked last year. Like, even though there are these new, the information that I'm reading on the new AI and Chat GPT is that it's not all doom and gloom. Don't worry. There is a place for blogs and bloggers and independent websites. Artificial intelligence is never going to be able to do what we do as creatives. They might be able to write some helpful content, but they're not going to be able to create a recipe from scratch and tell you with, certainty that this is going to be delicious and your family's going to love it.
And create like the beautiful photos.
Yeah, the photography.
It's such a visual. Blogging is such a most niches of blogging are so visual, or at least what we do: crafts, DIY, recipes.
And always, I think one thing that you could try to do, or moving forward, is one thing that I'm kind of in the back of my mind staying aware of is away from strictly informational posts. So how-to posts or definition posts or a list of things posts are going to be areas where artificial intelligence can recreate that fairly accurately. So, they're going to be able to tell us the definition for something, or they're going to be able to tell us a list of how to create something in 10 steps. What they're not going to be able to do is have that call to action at the bottom of our blog posts. So for me, that is the free printable, right? So people come to my website to get a digital product. And so they're never going to get that digital product from an AI service. People come to my website for a recipe. At the bottom of that is a printable recipe card. They're never going to be able to get that from artificial intelligence. So making sure that your content is written in a way where you've got an offering that will never be able, that can never be duplicated by AI, I think will be important moving forward, if it's something you're concerned about.
Right. And that leads me to another question. Email. Have you found success building your email list? Because that is a beautiful way to, if you can build it up, that's another way to bypass portals you don't own and potential loss of traffic through crazy updates. So I have not really built up my email, even with my free offerings. I haven't been really that impressed with my results of building up a huge subscriber list.
Yeah, you really have to offer them something they want. So it can be difficult. What I found success with is I have digital products. So that has been the best way for me to generate email subscribers is with digital products, because in order to receive the digital product, they have to subscribe. So my email list has grown by 35,000 in the last year.
Wow.
Year and a half.
In 1 year.
Through digital products. So I think digital products are something you can offer in every niche, no? Like as a DIY home decor, there's quite a few things you could add to your offerings on the website that people may be interested in. You've got some ebooks, but yeah, it'd be good to brainstorm digital offerings.
I was thinking plans, like digital plans for some of the builds, like cabinets and doors.
Printable artwork would be good too. Some kind of printable artwork. I know that.
Where do you go about, like, do you do all that through Canva, right? For a lot of your
printables? I also hire virtual assistants. So
great.
If you're not like, I don't want to get on to, I have Procreate myself. So I used to do some digital artwork on Procreate. Procreate is a service on an app that you can create your own digital artwork with, but it's a whole nother job and a whole nother skill set, but it's certainly fun. But I would hire a virtual assistant to create digital artwork that you could offer. That would be a great way to start. Another avenue of getting more subscribers.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I love that. Thank you for the tip. Okay, well, wrapping this up, this podcast, it was initially intended to include more strategy, but what I've realized is my results so much. Obviously, it's consistency and having a plan. But for me, what's gotten me through the hard times has been all of the work I've done in terms of spirituality and self-development. So do you personally, can you attest to relying on certain spiritual modalities, and have you noticed it, or do you believe that it is really attributed to a lot of your success as a blogger? And just kind of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, on spirituality. I'm a very spiritual person. And when the blog suddenly in 2015 was earning a full-time income, that to me was not the result of my doing. That was God. Like, he had played an integral role in providing for my little family in that moment.
It just gives me chills.
Yeah, goosebumps again, because certainly it wasn't, he knew what was happening and what was going to happen, and had put these steps in place that provided at that time in my life. So every time I see success with the blog now, I know I'm using building strategies to help it build momentum and earn more income. But I believe those are all coming from him, because he's like, okay, here's the next step, or here's the next step. And at low points, I just go to, we go to dirt church. Which is hiking and camping.
Yes, absolutely.
And dirt biking. So whenever I need to clear my head or take a break from all the massive amounts of writing that I do in the winter, and part of it too is like, speaking of balance and spirituality, I know that during the colder winter months here, this is when I get a majority of my work done. I try to do as much work and create as much content as I can, so that when the summer warmer months come, we can enjoy them as a family. So we do lots of hiking and backpacking trips. We've got a canoe trip. It's a portaging trip. So it's 6 nights through a chain of lakes with our teenagers. So
it's awesome.
We try to make time to do more of that in the summer. Yeah.
So that is actually something that, now that my children are in like school, I'm wondering, should I kind of change my work schedule and try to take more of the summer off? Because it's like, what's the point in being your own boss if you're just going to kind of go with the grind like everyone else? So you're able to take off.
Oh yeah.
Do you take off like the entire summer pretty much, and you just kind of show up in your social platforms?
So I show up on Instagram most of the time, unless we're camping. My true break, like my true vacation, is when we're in the woods and I have no access to Wi-Fi. I love that. I try to plan that several times a year.
Sounds amazing.
I'm gone for a week. I can't check on anything. I can't make sure that everything's running. Like, I'm just gone. So that's my true vacation. But in the summer months, so here it's July and August, I will work so right now, I'm working probably 60 or 80 hours a week. Like, it's a lot of writing and content. And I just go all the time. And then in the summer, it might be 10 hours a week that I'm making sure that things are rolling through Pinterest or getting republished. And hiring help is a great way to be able to step back in those summer months. So I take most of July and August off. I don't work as much. And then we do try to vacation, because it's so cold here during the winter for a couple of weeks.
You might as well just be lock down, focus, getting it out of the way so you can actually enjoy the nice weather. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there any other advice that you want to give the bloggers or influencers out there?
I think ask questions, reach out to somebody you admire, you follow, and try to really build or join a community like ours. Like I've got such a great, we've got such a great community of bloggers who share strategies and techniques and tips that it's just so empowering. So reach out to others and don't be afraid to ask questions.
I like it. So where can people find you, Heather?
I am at homemadeheather.com. Easy.
Oh, but you're on the socials too.
Oh gosh.
Do you not want people? Do you not want people hitting you up on your socials?
They're so small. No. Instagram's homemade.heather. And then Pinterest is super fun. And I think it's Homemade Heather blog on Pinterest. Yeah. Facebook too, but like you, I'm not on there very much.
Yeah.
No.
You just manage your private communities and.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so very much, Heather. I think anybody that maybe was lacking direction today in terms of their blog, I think they're going to have a little bit more of a path to head down. So thank you so much.
Great. Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for stopping by this week. I make no money from this show. Actually, it costs me money to produce and host. So the best way you can show your support for this passion project of mine is by leaving the show a 5-star written review on Apple. Also, if you would like to contribute monetarily to the show, you can leave a tip in my digital tip jar, which I have the link in the show notes. You can always share it with a friend who you think could benefit from the message, or even better, you can take a screenshot of this episode, upload it to your Insta stories, and tag me in it at Designing Vibes. Sending you my love.